Okay.
Come on, music. I was just waiting for the music to play, Steve.
Yep.
I like talking over the intros. Now I'm toning down the music.
All right.
Hey there, I'm Jim the Keys bartender. I'm here with Steve. Hey, Steve. How you doing, man?
Hey, how are you?
It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, wait, I still have the music playing in the background. But that's fine.
Man.
I should turn that off. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not that. You know what? I never really advertised a live show, so I really don't care if it's anybody's listening now. Eventually, they do listen, so it really doesn't matter. The last episode, the last couple episodes I was doing by myself, but not for any other reason other than just to get the show on, to keep on going. You know, yeah. Steve, because if I stopped, I would have just, it would be harder to start up again. It's like exercising for me.
Yeah.
So how you
keep
been?
it rolling.
Yeah, how you been?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, we're hanging in there.
Yeah.
Just day by day.
Yep. And you didn't go anywhere, right?
We haven't been anywhere. No, we're just still, pretty much status quo, just hanging around here.
Yeah. So I was going to try out. We went to Naples. I told that, but I can't really. I don't want to tell you because then everyone will be listening to the same old stories. Unless you have a particular question to ask me about it, because.
My parents used to live in Naples, but now they live here. So yeah, I'm familiar with Naples. I'm familiar with Naples.
I like Naples. There was a lot of other. I told this story 3 times. This will be the 3rd time I told the story, or 4th. The first night we went to town. What?
Don't tell it again on my account. You don't have to.
I'm going to tell you. You might like it.
Okay.
It was my wife Abby, daughter Sky, and her friend, and all the girls. Right? I asked, "What do you want for dinner?" And they all said sushi. Right?
Yeah.
And that was not on my list of what I was thinking about for dinner. So I said, "Oh man, okay. So maybe I can get a Japanese steakhouse that says sushi. Something like that. I can have a steak or something, or Kobe beef burger." I look at Naples, and it's called the Italian Noodle and Sushi Bar.
Okay.
Italian. As soon as I saw that, I didn't even really care about the reviews, but the reviews were good. So I thought, wow, there's, it could have been Chinese. It could have been Chinese noodle and Japanese sushi, whatever. Or it could have been German. It could have been German food and sushi. I would have been all right. Not to have a problem with sushi. That's more of an appetizer for me. But the whole vacation went that way. It was pretty good. So, I thought, yeah. So how's work going for you? You still?
Yeah, still working from home. I've been working from home though for a while now, so that wasn't really much a big deal.
Remember that was never a thing. That was working. Working away from the main office.
Yeah.
Was consultants or traveling salespeople, service people, all that stuff. But no one was really. I mean, they kind of knew how when this pandemic came around. Imagine if it was like, actually, I could pick a point. 30 years ago or 28 years ago, there was some limited phone technology you could use, right?
Right.
Only a few people. I wanted to talk a little later on how things change, how we adapt now, right? How quickly.
Right.
Yeah, remember we were talking about how the restaurants not the restaurants, the retail stores are closing.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was dying. It was happening before. It was a lot slower than now, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so so I was talking to somebody, and they were talking about like if I had a dime for to invest in this, did I have a dime? Could invest it in this. I I thought immediately about Sears and Amazon.
Oh yeah, that's a big contrast
That's my
there.
story. Well, I mean Sears was Amazon
Hmm.
pre-internet.
Back in the day, yeah, sure.
Yeah, they were 18. They were like 1888, and
The
they
catalog.
the catalog. They were all catalog up till
Yep.
1925, and they
Right.
remained a lot catalog up to the 1980s.
Hmm.
So they had almost 100 years of just shipping stuff out. You
Right.
remember were you when you were a kid? Do you remember the Sears catalog?
I do. Yeah, that big huge thing. Yeah.
You have 1,500 pages in the 1980s. It
Yeah.
got up to 1,500 pages, and then it became
Yeah.
really expensive to ship it. But people really
Hmm.
wanted that Sears catalog. I remember
Right.
as a kid, the Sears catalog was the internet.
Absolutely.
You got to see the women in their underwear. You did. You got to
I
see
know you were
the.
getting.
Yeah, no wait. You have that. It's got the women in their underwear. You used to have. You go to the toy section, and it
Yeah.
had every freaking toy out there. And
Yep.
then you go to the back of the bikes. It had motorcycles and mini
Yeah.
bikes and go karts. And he had a bunch of different go karts. Not a bunch of different. They had three different
Yeah.
go karts. They had a bare bones one. They had a one that when your parents were, and then they had a double one where you get two people in on it, and these little tiny mini bikes. And
Yep.
they had a gun. They had a gun section.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
the
That was
gun section.
fishing.
Guns, tents, camping, all the camping equipment, all that
Hmm.
freaking camping equipment. Uh,
Yep.
Sears used to have a section just for Boy Scouts.
Right.
No, when
Yeah.
you went into the store,
Oh yeah. Right. Right.
they
Yeah.
sold the uniforms. They sold some of the big merit the equipment and all that stuff. I mean, Sears
Yeah.
just
That's
bought.
where you had to get your uniform. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, you got all that stuff, and in their day, you can say all sorts of things about Sears, but they did the tools, their tools, the Craftsman tool. When you bought a tool from
Yep.
them, what was the warranty on that, Steve?
Oh my God. I don't know. It was
It was
good, right?
lifetime.
Good.
It was lifetime.
Yeah.
You go
Right.
in
Right.
if you had a broken tool, you went in Sears, they gave you a new one.
That's crazy.
And Kenmore Appliances at one time, Sears had 40% of the total global appliance market. Global,
That's that's
global,
amazing.
not now. Now,
Yeah.
granted, a smaller slice of the population, at the time, was using appliances. But 40% of the global appliance market. Oh my
Hmm.
God, they
That's
you
huge.
you could buy you could literally could buy a house. They will sell you a kit house, not a
Uh,
shed, not a big camper, a house.
right.
Now you can buy so Sears catalog was the internet, except for
Yeah.
the lonely people reaching out to you. I mean, God, even what was my biggest? I named my biggest sections. I go to ones as a boy. As you got older, was more towards the ladies in the bathing suits and stuff like that. But when I was younger, I go to the Halloween section, the Superman,
Yeah.
policeman, soldier, cowboy, all those
Sure.
things. They had
Oh yeah.
everything. Doctor,
Yeah.
race car driver. I mean that you they had all these things you could get from them, and that was it. There was, I mean, you could no other store sent out a catalog that I know of that the regular kid got a hold of.
J.C. Penney. I think J.C. Penney had one. No,
Maybe,
Penny.
yeah, maybe, but they never sent out something like that. I mean, I remember the
Not
JC.
that
I
much.
remember the J.C. Penney, but it's like I don't even have to compare it to.
Yeah,
I don't.
Sears
I
was
don't.
the big
It's
daddy.
like okay, you know what? I'll tell you. Sears was Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, right?
Yeah, right.
And J.C. Penney's was Alan Quartermain and the Lost City of Gold.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Yeah, just
exactly
like
a
a
direct
busted.
comparison of those two.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yep. Yeah, Sears should have just stuck with the catalog, and then like no brick and mortar, and then just converted it to the internet. They'd probably still be around.
I I wrote all this stuff down, exactly what you said, and it's brilliant. So you know, you're going to be amazed by this. No, you're going to be in the 1980s. The catalog division was its biggest performer, and it was $4 billion a year. Right. The numbers started going
Right.
down. I'll talk about my stepmother used to work for Sears, but in
Uh-huh.
1993, they dismantled
Hmm.
their warehouse and catalog divisions. Dismantled it. 1993. In
Uh-huh.
1997, Sears launched its e-commerce site where it had to rebuild all the infrastructure that it tore down 4 years earlier. Right?
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
so you remember that Apper time, 1993, they dismantled the distribution infrastructure. They had warehouses all over the
Hmm.
United States, Adam, in Philadelphia, Chicago. I think Sears was center in Chicago, but they had them all over the country.
Right.
Fulfillment
Yep.
centers. They had their own thing of fulfillment center. They had tens
Like,
of they
like
had tens of thousands of people employed in that, Steve.
yeah.
So that was 1993. In 1994, Amazon's Jeff Bezos gets a loan from his parents, $250,000, to start
Oh shit.
selling books out of his
Hmm.
garage or whatever, Start selling books.
Yeah.
And then they got investment capital and all this stuff. And in so in the year 2001, they start selling other things from A to Z.
Hmm.
You could buy literally
Right.
hundreds of things, but in that 2001 technology speed with the download, not everyone had broadband and stuff like that. So there was,
Hmm.
you hear 1993, 94, they start out. Walmart comes in the 90s. So Sears makes a commitment in 93 to go all in on its brick and mortar, right?
Yeah. Bad move. Yeah.
When they could have went in all in their catalog, because right
Yep.
then Walmart's coming out of nowhere, right?
Hmm.
Walmart's coming out and they're going up against Walmart. They're competing against Walmart,
Right.
right? And they figure we got to focus on brick and mortar, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Walmart got all Sears traffic, right? Sears lost his
Sure.
catalog and it has a competition with Walmart that decides to sell everything, even food, which is a different mentality, right?
Yeah.
So there's
Yep.
they have to get back into the marketing of stuff from fulfillment centers in 97.
Right.
And all the things you said, if they had waited another year, 2 years to make a decision, right? And
Yeah.
lost some money,
Yep.
they would have seen Amazon come around and say, "Oh, well, this must be something." I'm sure Western Union probably thought that with the telephone. Oh, there's a lot more calls being made.
Hmm.
There's twice as many people this year. There's 4 times as many people this year. Blah 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 blah. So
Yeah.
it was easy to interpret because all they had to
Dude,
do was take a couple of years.
Sears Sears could have
Sears
so
was,
easily
yeah.
been Amazon.
They were Amazon. They
Yeah,
had
they
the
had
money. They had the money. They could have swamped them by the
yeah.
time in the time that Amazon started out in '94. Sears could
Yeah.
easily put $1 billion into
Oh,
online sales, right?
yeah.
But
They could have,
Amazon
they
did it.
already had
Yeah.
fulfillment. Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
And so we think they're stupid, right? My stepmother worked in the gun room in Philadelphia where you could sell. They would test. They would send guns out when people ordered guns, and they package them and all that stuff. And they even used to sample them on the roof of the Sears distribution building. My stepmother said she's been up there and fired a couple of those. But
Oh,
but yeah, and she always had Sears stock. So my stepmother, if they had made the conversion, right, and slowly stayed in there and made their online, they were the online presidents. They see Amazon, people say, venture, well, we got this right now. We're going to do it this way. We're not going to go, we can outspend them 2-to-1 each year with our own investment. He's got to kind of try to compete with us, right? That's what they,
mm-hmm.
that's what they had to do. So it's easy to look at them and say, wow, you guys really fucked up. Right?
Oh, big time. They totally zigged when they should have just stayed with their zag, you know?
Yeah, it's like, think of any starlet or something like that. The guy from Star 80. Eric Roberts, remember Eric Roberts? He's dating a girl that becomes a playmate.
Yeah, kind of.
He goes like, he says, I'm holding on as long as I can, which he did badly. That was a bad thing he did, killing his girlfriend and stuff like that. But in reflection, now you hear us too. I'm the older guy in the group. I'm thinking the same thing you are, right? They missed out. They were catalogs. All you had to do is you start with all the shit they had, right? All the shit they had. And, okay, how many catalogs they put out a year? I don't, fuck. It had to be like 25 million. In the 80s, there were 200 million. Maybe, so if maybe 20 million, I don't know. They printed a lot of them. And these houses got them. And all they do is say, if you were explaining to the boardroom, you go and say to them, hey, all you have to do is list these. We got people, they'll type them in and stuff like that. And eventually it'd be a lot easier to do this because programming language is getting easier. And then we just have people input this stuff in and take a picture and stuff. And then someone could have, and there were hundreds of guys and some women, because it's a sexist company, right? It's a big company. But there were men and women. There was a couple men and women say, "Hey, listen, you got to pay attention to this thing." They call it the web, and like, okay, now this is where my research came to. Was we forget what it was like in 1993? There was only a couple. In 1993, there may have been 500,000 to 1 million people using the internet.
Mm-hmm.
In 95, now I got the numbers here. In 1995, there were 10 million users. In the year 2000, there were 35. Oh, no. In the year 2000, there was like 94 million. In 4 years, there was 9-folding increase. And then the next year was 200 million. Or, no, 180 million or something like that. It was incredible. It was just an explosion.
Right.
The tech explosion.
The revolution.
The revolution, it was incredible how quickly it happened. And how quickly people forgot that you couldn't make a decision because most people in the United States did not know that the internet existed. They knew there was a possibility of interconnectivity, hence that Matthew Broderick movie. What was it called?
War Games?
War Games. Where, Yeah, they started doing it in limited in the 70s. I don't know if they did in the 60s, but universities and the military were linking up, sharing data,
Mm-hmm.
but sharing very specific data, very specific,
Right.
not general reams of information, not the way the internet handles it now. So much
Right.
information travels over the internet now, so you couldn't even tell that to a person from 50 years ago.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So people had no idea that existed. They know how to, I mean, email. What's email? Email was it was tough to get on, but you were, my brother, I'll tell you the difference for me, Steve. In 1882, in 1982, when I went to college at Drexel
Yeah.
University, it was a technical engineering school, right?
What year?
1982.
Okay. Yeah.
In 1983, every freshman had a desktop, a Mac,
Yeah.
and
Right.
Apple was working with them to get it in their hands, right? They were subsidizing it or something like that. But considering how much a tuition costs having a computer, but mainly it was a word processor. It was a
Yeah,
word processor.
exactly.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
It was total bullshit, you know? The first time I
Right.
started using it, because I started using those in 87, 88, 89, if you didn't back up, you'd write for hours, and then if you didn't forget to
Yeah.
save it, it was gone.
Oh yeah, you got to save like
Yeah,
every
with a
5 minutes.
typewriter, this you're typing and words are coming out. You're printing and typing, and that was right at the thing. You go, this is ridiculous. I mean, I typed up a term paper using a computer where I lost 5 pages of copy or something like that. But luckily, I remembered this stuff and actually probably came out better because of that. But here we're prejudging people for the information they didn't have at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who knew that would happen? Who knew? Now, we can extend this all throughout the life. But with the internet, that's where it was. Americans didn't know what it was. But who knew, like, in the fall of last year, right? I do
Yeah.
remember. I remember when people started mentioning late fall near Christmas that people were getting sick in China. I remember that
That's
story.
right.
I remember the story.
Yeah.
And it was right around Christmas, right after Christmas, and I remember the story, but I didn't remember it would be important. Right?
Right.
I didn't remember it was important. It was a matter of a year happened to Sears.
Mm-hmm.
Because money started in Silicon Valley, where Sears is operating in Chicago. In Silicon Valley, people were doing things, weird shit,
Mm-hmm.
I remember in the 90s, I worked for a circuit board company, and the technology was changing so fast that the factory I was working became obsolete in a matter of 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, because they use SMT, surface mount technology. Instead of building boards with circuits, you put the circuits into the chips, and it was just, you said we're going to use modules to control it. We don't have to create circuits. They're preset, and
Right.
we can program them, and things like that. And it just changed the way things were made. So I imagine it's, oh my God, I can't even think of any retail industry right now, right?
So, oh yeah. So,
People, I mean, hundreds of millions of people, or tens of millions of people in the United States became comfortable ordering things online.
yeah. Big
Ordering
time.
everything online. Toilet paper. You had 80-year-old people bidding on bundles of toilet paper. Speculating. Speculate. There was a speculation. There's going to be the great toilet paper speculation of 2020. It's going to be studied for hundreds of years.
Right.
Just like
Yeah.
tulips in the 1700s in Holland. if you hear that. People started speculating, or in the 1980s with Beanie Babies.
Yeah. Hey, I do it every day with.
Yeah, well, wait a second, Steve. I know it's funny. I don't deal with that stuff, but people have been doing that with comics for 30, 40 years. It's established.
It's true.
It's established.
But what you're saying, see, like, like people have been buying and selling comics for a long time, but all of a sudden a comic will get hot because of a movie, and then all of a sudden everybody has to have it. And that's how you make money.
I understand that. I'm just saying it's established. Comics, I'm trying to compliment you by saying this is an established medium. Right?
Right.
Comic, it's established. Yep. People know it's hot, and then being an expert is valued. It's just like being, let's say you're a doctor that specializes in exotic diseases, right, that are communicable. Much like Dr. Fauci. It would behoove your federal government to listen to him all the time, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but and you listen to a person like that, maybe not necessarily the My Pillow guy, right? But that's just me, right? So we make these decisions on the information we have right now, like let's call it a comic book, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Boys, I understand that show on Netflix, the Boys, or is it Amazon on Amazon Prime? The Boys is coming out with in about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks, coming out with a new first episode. They're going to be releasing them like network television now over a course of time. And but there was a comic book prior to the show.
Right.
Now I imagine the price of those went up. The original.
Exactly, and it's interesting because this is the second season. The comics exploded before the first season, and then they kind of little lull, sat down a little bit, sat back a little bit. Now they're exploding again before the second season. So
what? Let's say, how long you been doing Deadpool? When the Deadpool movie came out, right?
Right.
Did that comic go through crazy up?
Oh yeah. Oh, big time.
Like what? Like what would a first edition? How old was the first edition?
Well, Deadpool first appeared in a comic book called New Mutants. Issue number 98 was the first issue of. Was the first appearance of Deadpool in a comic book. I mean, a 9.8 graded copy of that is $4,000 or $5,000. I mean,
wow.
But it goes through ups and downs. And right now it's actually relatively cheap to where it's been. So it's actually probably a good time to pick it up because sooner or later they're going to come out with another movie. So play.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like stamp collecting, man.
Yeah.
Well, no. Well, but stamp collecting, they're just. I think the nice thing about comic books is they're so speculative that they could go up and down and things like that, which makes it exciting for the collector and all that stuff. But like not knowing, you still get informational. Like if you're like you said, okay, the new movie's coming out, and you listen to it, it's supposed to be really good, right? It's actually going to, and they're going to move it into the regular. Let's say move it into the regular Marvel universe, right? And,
exactly.
And get even a bigger release. So then there's more people going nutty over it, So yeah. So that's where you get the information. But there's sometimes you don't have the information, right?
Right.
Like with the internet, or you're not. It's not easy to be found, and now it's easy to be found because of the internet itself. But prior to the internet, where'd you learn about internet? You'd have to go and talk to somebody, or see a show, or get a tape. Back in what was it? Oh, DVD. Was there DVDs back then? No, it was still VHS tape in the 90s, right?
Right.
So, I mean, how would you get let's say it's your early 90s and you want to find out about the internet. Where do you find out? You go to a library? You go to a library to find out about the internet? It won't tell you. I didn't understand what they were talking about.
Right.
I thought it was Matthew Broderick hooking up with another war computer, and then big deal, the Terminator thing. I don't know. We didn't know it was going to be like
Yeah.
as it is now, and I'm using it right now. I'm using it to broadcast live, talk to you remotely, and put all the artwork up and stuff like that, and do research for the show. I use it so much, so intensively now. I could do all my work without getting up. It is amazing. And no one, and 25 years ago, 27 years ago, I couldn't even tell you the smallest thing about this thing I use all the time. I didn't know what it meant. I mean, I was working, what was it, 93? I was working for a software company. And not software, I wasn't. If I knew software company, I knew a little more than I did when I was working at the hardware company, at the circuit board company.
Yeah.
The software company, I knew a little about email. I could check my email and stuff like that. I knew you didn't open up unsolicited one or anything that could be porn on your work computer.
Right.
Because that was always a big thing. This is 2001. 2001, 2002. It wasn't super accessible. The internet wasn't super accessible back then. It was dial-up.
AOL.
AOL. I mean, you hear that sound. When you were home, there was very little broadband in 2000 everywhere prior to 2000. Right?
Right.
I'm trying to remember that. I don't think 2001 there was no broadband. They had business. They had a DSL line. That was a big deal in 2001. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then 2000, it's like the mid, like 2005, 2006, 2007. They started coming out. You started hearing about broadband. It's not that we tend to see when we have something that says, how long has this been around? And like we didn't know it existed before that.
Right.
Cell phones themselves being able to, is that weird, or the things you can do with cell phones? Because if you told someone, well, the cell phone pretty much reached its zenith 2001, right? It was every feature they added to it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the iPhone is where it made the big,
Yeah.
the big jump.
Yeah, I can play chess on my phone in 2002, 2003. Big deal. Yeah. And but you didn't know what the iPhone thing would be coming up. Well, the cell phone, how hard was it to accept a cell phone? In World War II, they were using walkie-talkies, and we treated it like a walkie-talkie, right? In the beginning. Mm-hmm. It's just a longer distance. Yeah. You send in a signal there, you get accepted. But 2007, you get a computer in your hand.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but they don't know. So I think Sears is getting a bad rap because no one knew it was coming. I couldn't explain what it. I don't know how they get it to do what it is, how it's all connected, how everything's routed. I don't understand it, Steve.
Right.
I don't. It's hard to wrap your head around it. Like, where does this reside? It's on servers someplace. Yes, I know what that means.
In the cloud.
Yeah, what is the cloud and things like that? Today, it would be hard to ask anybody. Do one of those stupid things on the street where they walk up to people, explain the cloud and stuff like that. Do you understand what it is? That it's a peer-to-peer relationship, let's say, where I understand peer-to-peer relationship. We have it's a redundant system spread around the globe that's connected.
Right.
It's like a big water system. I was going to say a sewer department, but in some ways it's like both. You don't know if you're getting water or sewage. You know? Yeah. True. But I was just thinking I'm going to use this story about Sears, and it's going to be my go-to story. For 40 years, it's like Sears. Think about it. For 40 years, all it was if you said, think of Amazon and take away the internet,
Mm-hmm.
how would they do it? If you had to go away and it was an electrical thing and it was all gone and stuff like that,
Yeah.
well, they'd have
Yeah.
to call up. They'd have to call a 90-year-old person up from Sears, used to work in the fulfillment center.
Yeah.
How'd you guys do
They'd
it?
have to catalog.
Yeah, they have to do it if you did it. And how did Sears forget what it knew? Because it was it.
Mm-hmm.
How could it not do that thing? Right?
I mean, see, I'm sure there was a point they came to a fork in the road, like, hey, we got to go one way or the other, and they chose the wrong way. You know?
Yeah, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go up against Walmart. This thing's going to take forever." You know,
or we're going to innovate in the method of like this new Amazon, you know, and they chose to go up against Walmart.
yeah.
So not only did they choose the wrong path, but Walmart ended up kicking their ass too. So,
well, I think what happened is
Couple-
what was artificially supported by venture capitalists, because it was very hard. Amazon in its, I think I just read this. It was like they made 1 cent a share in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
It took. I mean, they started up in '93 and they started making money in 2001.
Right.
Because this guy sold an idea, says we're going to do this, we're going to online, and online book selling exploded. And before they even dust was settled, he started reinvesting it to do something bigger,
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
way bigger.
Yep.
And Sears could have just, if they hung on for, let's say there was a stodgy, let's say there was like an original board member still around and saying, no, we're going to keep it, I guess they couldn't. It was such a big system.
Mm-hmm.
But if they had like a couple years foreknowledge, say, listen, we're going to take it down and build it up, or whatever.
Right.
We're not going to get rid of it. We're going to take it down and build it up. But they have all these employees, and it couldn't. I mean, but there was a 4-year gap.
Yeah.
Before they went to that, and they could have just, let's say, in '93 said we're going to start doing it, and in '94, that's when Amazon started doing the book thing. I mean, I don't even know if it sold a book till '95. So they could have just said, well, let's try it. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
And then it would be a couple of years. You might lose something and stuff like that. You may have to retire some of your old employees. But man, the capital would have poured in there. Incredible.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting what you say about like the timing of Walmart blowing up, because I'm sure that was probably what forced their hand to stay in the brick and mortar. If Walmart hadn't have been around, they may have been like, you know what, let's keep experimenting with this online side of it, the internet side of it. But they were either like, look, we got to we either got to take Walmart on and fuck everything else, or we're toast, So
I mean, if you think about it, think of the cars. Cars did it to Cars did it to Sears too.
Yeah.
And the growth of cities. Because
Mm-hmm.
when most of the American population was rural at one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was and then there was growth of cities. And then post World War II. Now the catalog work was going great in the 40s and stuff like that. Because if people still lived in the country, they still had to get their stuff. Right? They survived the Depression.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They survived the Depression, and
mm-hmm.
and then cars came around. And if it wasn't for cars, there wouldn't have been malls, there wouldn't have been stores and stuff like that. And they wouldn't, people still would be living out in the place. Where are they going to get their stuff from? Sears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they didn't have like a Filene's basement. Does that still exist?
Right.
It's a woman's clothing store at a mall. It's like the old fashions of the high end stuff, or like a year or two off. So, but they didn't. I mean, Sears went one way, and then they forgot everything they knew about it, and someone
Yeah.
had to go up and say, "Hey, listen, you know, there's a possibility that there's gonna, in the future, there could be a lot more commerce done over."
Yeah.
And I don't know how they would describe it then, because they probably didn't have the language for it. Because you can't, whatever they would describe the internet as, over the internet, and they would say over the thing, over the wire, whatever they may
Yeah,
have
right.
called
The
it.
world.
I mean, because
Yeah.
it was called ARPANET. I guess ARPANET was the thing that made it got the internet from. Because it was called the web. It was called the web for a long time. Who calls it the web?
World Wide Web. Yeah.
Do they still call it that?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's the internet.
Yeah.
World Wide Web. I mean, what's the difference?
However, you still see www in internet addresses. I think that's what it's from.
Yeah, but you don't need it, right?
No, you don't need it.
Yeah, it's like putting one in front of the area code if you're in the United States.
Yeah, that's
It's redundant.
True. You don't have.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, why would you have that anyway? So whenever, that'll be my go-to story when anybody say, hey, listen, you don't know what's going to be coming up. Sears didn't know.
Right.
Sears didn't
Good
know.
story.
And it's kind of interesting how, the big motor companies, the big three in Detroit, how they're missing it on the electric thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tesla's, in a couple of years, people are going to say, well, how did Tesla become the largest American automaker? Maybe,
Right.
Maybe Tesla's going to be the largest one in the world if if the one NIO in China or whatever doesn't happen. I mean, Tesla could be that number one automotive company in the world in how many years? 10 years?
I'm surprised that hasn't happened even faster than it has. Yeah.
Oh, I think it's happening pretty fast.
Yeah.
It's accelerating, but it's still a slow process. But once people accept it, it changes quicker. Like cell phones.
Yeah.
I didn't want a cell phone. Who wanted a cell phone? 2001, I didn't need a cell phone. Don't give me a cell phone. Leave the house, I'm out of the house. Don't call me.
Right.
Why do you have to call me? Why does the work? Why do you need my other number when I'm out of? I don't give a shit. And then you get phone calls. You get phone calls from work. You're not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. Right?
Right.
I get a phone call. Hey, Jim, where's so-and-so? Where's the Sour Mix? I'm like, it's my day off. Oh, you can't answer the phone?
Right.
It's important. I got to make a margarita. Okay, great. Oh.
Right.
Yeah, it's just things, the smart TV, Alexa, Echo, how long has that been going on?
Right.
The home assistant you talk to, how long? 3 years? 4 years?
Oh, like Alexa and Siri and all that? Yeah. Right.
Well, Siri, that came with the thing, but the home-based ones, what's the last 3 years?
Yeah, right. That's about right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of redundant now. Not redundant. It's there. It's prevalent. It's all around you. Right? And who didn't see it? And well, I mean, is anybody, when Google has its thing and Amazon has its thing? So.
Right.
What do you use? Do you have one at home?
I don't have one of those home central systems, no. But, yeah, I mean.
Eventually, I'm going to feel I'm going to have to. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a paranoid person. I figure it'd be too many things you have to track. I mean,
yeah.
If they're going to waste, if a government agency wants to record me, that's great. They're going to waste their time.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I got an iPhone, I got an iPad, I got 18 televisions. I mean, I think I'm good. But
do you have it? Do you not have it because of the it's an invasion of privacy or something?
No. I mean, at this point, it's just I don't really see a need for it for me. But I'm not saying I won't ever have one.
Uh-huh. Oh, I have a question. This is on a separate note. How I know how it works, and I'm not trying to make you. So don't answer it if you don't want to answer it. How does the infrared thermometer work? What does it do? The infrared thermometer do that they point at you.
The
infrared thermometer.
Infrared thermometer. What are you talking about? Where?
You know, when you're at a place where they take your temperature before you go in, it's kind of like a handheld thermometer. I heard it hold it a couple of.
Okay. What does it do? I you know what? I haven't even had one pointed at me yet. I mean,
How do you think it
does
works?
it take your temperature, and if you have a fever, you what?
How do you think it works?
I don't know. It bounces a laser off your forehead or something. I don't know.
See, that's an automatic thing. It's reading the radiation, infrared radiation coming off your body.
Okay.
It's just a heat. You're anything that gives off heat. It's like an infrared. Infrared cameras, infrared goggles, right? Yeah. That's how it reads. It's amount of infrared in a couple, and it's measurable, and it can take your temperature. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
I guess there's nothing active, but there's people that believe that it shoots a laser in your head. And they don't like having their temperature taken with it.
Yeah.
They went at the risk.
Yeah.
Okay. I had to explain to them. I said, nope, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't do that. I mean, it's the least invasive of all thermometers.
Right. See, I just said the most stupid thing.
Oh, no, it's not stupid. It's not stupid. It's logical. And I told you that. Do you believe it?
Do I believe what you just told me? Yeah, absolutely. It takes
Yep. It just reads
the heat.
I'm telling you, these other people, they don't believe you. It's a conspiracy.
No.
It's like the flat earth thing. Once you explain it, I go like this. Hey, you know what? Do you have a microwave in your house? You're getting a million times of every time you walk out in the sun, the electromagnetic. Oh, come on. You're out. Do not worry about the thermometer.
The same people who think COVID is a hoax, dude. It's just like,
Yeah. Well, they think it's the world invented it so they can make more billionaires and stuff like that. Yeah, regular billionaires are going to stand around and say, "Yeah, I want to be inconvenienced too."
My neighbor thinks COVID is a hoax. Still, he still thinks COVID is a hoax. It's like nuts. I just nod and okay, agree, because I don't want to be confrontational with my neighbor.
Yeah. It's a hoax.
So crazy.
Yeah, that's where they won't. I could talk to them. Blew my face,
I'm sure.
I'm not going to. Why? You don't have to convince. If they're going to, there's no amount of evidence out there that's going to change their mind.
Right. They're just.
And you know what? I'll tell you that thing. I thought the same thing about Sears and Amazon. I go, those dumb shits. If I was there, I wouldn't. If I was there, I would have not known. I wouldn't have known.
You don't know. I don't know. Hindsight.
I don't know. Yeah, hindsight makes me look at it and say 1 year, right? Amazon comes in.
Waited 1 year.
You couldn't wait 1 year.
Yeah.
Now a time machine would, right?
Gold.
Oh yeah. Go like this, Google. Sure, I'll invest. Microsoft. Whatever.
Yeah,
what do you want? Here you go. Take everything. So.
Right.
But there's some people, they're unimpressed by facts.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, well, listen, I got to go and cook dinner. Are you done?
All right.
Yeah. Are you done dinner? Did you eat yet?
Yeah, we already ate. Yeah, we went out. Yeah, early.
Oh, the early bird special, right?
Yeah, we are. I'm like an old man. We go out at like 4:30 so that we can beat the crowds and shit. So.
Oh, really? Oh, good. Okay, man. Well, listen, I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Oh, well, you know what? We'll just sign off right now. Listen, I'll do it right now. Wait, don't leave.
Okay.
You can keep on
All right.
talking. Oh, listen, if you
Okay.
are a listener, follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Well, nah, I don't know if Instagram, but Tumblr. Does anybody use Tumblr, Steve?
I don't think anymore. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, there's nothing. Okay, yeah, forget about Tumblr then, or try. I still post on Tumblr. I'll play and find a couple listeners there, but not. I don't think it's anybody following me on Tumblr. At least there's no MySpace. I have a Facebook thing. Okay. Well, listen, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
And I'll talk to you. Wait, I'm not signing off with you. I'm just putting the music on. Here.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't hear any of it?
I don't hear the music for some reason. No.
How about if I turn it up?
No, I don't hear the music. It must be on some sort of different
It's
frequency
blast.
channel or something. Is it blasting?
Yeah, it's in my ear.
I don't hear.
Here, wait, hey, oh, it's just up here. Oh, it did something weird. How about if I do this? No? Are you there?
Nope, I don't hear. Yeah, I'm here, but I don't hear.
Wow. No,
Yeah, I got to re-listen to your broadcast, and then I can.
Wait, you hear? How about that? No? This? No? Wait. How about this?
No, I don't hear it, dude.
I'll talk to you later. Talk to you, everyone. Wait, I'm not signing off. I'm just signing off here. Let me turn it down.
Okay.
Stop. Yeah, I'm stopping the show.